Hello and welcome. Now, before we get too deep into talking about products, plans, paychecks, all of the things, I want to talk to you about something that determines whether any of this ever works for you specifically, and it's your mindset. Now, here's the truth that nobody tells new business owners on day one. The business model can be perfect. The products can be incredible. The timing can be exactly right. And it still may not work if the person running it hasn't made an internal shift first. So that's where we're starting. Not with tactics, but with the thinking that has to change before your results can. So this is especially important. I see people day in and day out where they're doing exactly the same things as other people, but they're not having the same results. So let's make sure we dive into this and make some shifts before we really start building and trying to grow our business. Now, most people come into a business like this one still wearing the mindset of the world that they came from. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that other world or all of your experience up until now, but it probably runs on different rules. So I want you to think about the cash flow quadrants that you probably saw in discussions with the business overview and you talked about as you were deciding on joining this business. Now, on one side, you have employees and self-employed. So now these are people who are trading their hours or expertise directly for income. Right? Now, the other side, you have business owners and investors. These are people building systems and assets that produce income, whether or not they're the one doing the work that day. Okay, now this is a very important distinction and a very important reframe that we have to go through. Most of us are trained our whole lives to succeed in those first two quadrants, right? We worry about getting good grades, getting into a good college, having a good resume, working really hard, getting paid, hoping for the promotion, right? Now, that training isn't wrong. It's just that it's not complete when we're looking at this type of system. So it didn't teach us how to think like a business owner. And again, that's not a skills gap necessarily. The skills are very easy to learn and to develop. This is a mindset gap that we're talking about. So the real starting question isn't what do I do first in my business, but who do I need to become to build this business successfully in the way that I want to? Now, here's a simple model that I use with every person that I coach, and I want you to hold on to it because you'll use it consistently in this business as well. So when you look at your current results in life, you're looking at your income, your habits, your team, your confidence, all of these different things. It all comes from a chain. Okay, we have our old thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, our old choices, our old actions and behaviors, our old experiences, our old feelings, and all of these things are showing you your current circumstances and your current state of being. Okay, now if nothing in this chain changes, then nothing downstream of it is going to change either, meaning your results are not going to change and the things that you see in your reality and your circumstances are not going to change. Okay, you cannot keep the same thoughts and the same behaviors and actions and then expect a new state of being and new results. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, no matter how badly you want those new results to come. So now if we look at doing this in reverse and changing the chain, the one thing that actually creates change is now we have new thoughts, new ideas, new perceptions, new assumptions and beliefs, all leading to new choices, new actions and behaviors, new experiences, new feelings, and a new state of being. Okay? Now it can all start with a single new thought, a decision, right? A decision that you are going to change and you are going to become a successful business owner, entrepreneur, CEO of your own business. All right? Now, this is not a complete personality overhaul overnight. One new thought, one new decision held consistently that leads to one new choice, one new action, right? And then it creates a new experience. And then these new experiences repeated will become a new identity, okay? Now we're kind of summing this up into a little bit of a simple model and framework. We could go really deep into this, but if you just start here and just start changing the way that you look at things, the way that you perceive, the goals that you want to set, all of that, that is a beautiful place to start, and you do it over and over and over, and you will begin to see that shift inside of yourself. So I want you to ask yourself now, what is one old thought that you might have had around money, around selling, around people like me don't build this kind of business, something like that? What are some old thoughts and beliefs and assumptions that you had about these ideas and about yourself? So take some time to bring some of those to mind. And then I want you to start shifting them. Start looking at them a different way. Okay, so we're now going to replace that with a new thought that's going to serve you, a new belief and assumption that's going to allow you to make good progress and get to the desired results. Okay, so now we're looking to trade that for a new one. So now we have this shift in our mindset, right? So we're starting to get an internal shift. And there's so many layers to this, but this is a really good place to start. But now we want to give that a direction. Where do we want this mindset to head? And our goals are going to give it that direction. Okay, so when people picture goals in a business like this, they usually think about specifically just income targets, rank titles, right? And these matter. They give us, a line, a point that we want to reach, and all of that, and that's beautiful. But what they're not actually doing is, it's not going to be what's going to pull you out of bed, right, on a hard day, or what's going to get you to keep taking those actions when you really don't feel like it. So what is going to pull you through is going to be the real goal that is underneath the number. Okay, so I invite you to not just think about the number itself, although I want you to think about the number because it's good to have something measurable so that we know where we're going, where we're at. It's easy to assess how our progress is and all of that. But you have to have the why behind it. So if you haven't read the book, Starts with Why, I want you to read that, or at least just really start thinking about, why are you doing this, right? What is your reason behind trying to reach these income levels? And I don't want you to think about goals as like becoming debt-free, although that's a good goal. But if you think about becoming debt-free, you're focusing on the debt. So I want you to not think about the debt and only think about the number, the income that you want to be receiving, right? And the assumption then is that it's, of course, going to be a positive number, right? So looking at, having that genuine financial stability and security, not being limited by finances and what you can do in this world, right? Being able to giving to charity, to causes, to people that you love, right? All of those things. Owning a home that you actually want, everything that you desire, not something that you're settling for because it's what you feel like you can afford, having the freedom to travel on your own terms, being able to show up for your family in a way that your old schedule would have never allowed. For example, our kids have swim meets this week particularly, and we have 2 that are during the day, during weekdays. Most parents can't make that happen, right? So think about all these things that you can be there for, that you don't have to compromise anymore. Your lifestyle, being able to just say yes to things, whatever it is for you. But get down and really think about that as you're building your goal. And I want to make sure that you're reaching for something bigger than you've ever reached before, okay? So if you're familiar with Bob Proctor, he would always talk about 3 types of goals. And I'm going to sum it up really quickly, but an A-type goal is basically, it's just a lateral shift, okay? So that's like, I made $50,000 this year. I think I can make $50,000 again next year. There's no growth. There's no motivation behind that. There's no drive. Like, you're just cruising along at the same thing, right? Where's the fun in that? So now we have a B-type goal. This is a little bit bigger. You're starting to stretch yourself a little, but you can still see exactly how you could get there, right? Like, well, if I just do this, and then I know I can reach that goal. Okay, so there's a little bit of stretch, but you're not really going to get that big passion behind it. It's not going to really drive you forward. And then there's the C-type goal. Now, these goals are big. They're scary because you don't know how you're going to make it happen. So I invite you, when you're thinking about your goals for this business, to make sure you're going for that C-type goal. Do something and reach for something that you've never done before. You have no idea how it's going to work. The fun is in discovering how it all comes together, right? So if you set that goal, you stay focused on that goal, you know you're going to end up getting there eventually, okay? We may not know exactly how it's going to happen, but we know that it will, all right? So when you look back at the list that we were talking about, some of the different things that might be behind your why. So every item on that list that I brought up talk about freedom and contribution. Now, that's not an accident. The businesses that are going to last are built by people chasing a life, not just a check, right? So if you're looking for that lifestyle, you're looking for something to drive you, you're looking for something bigger to make an impact, to really help people, that is going to be a much better motivator behind your business than just, I want this much money because I just want that much money, right? So here is an action step for this section I want you to do. Make sure to write down your goals in each of these different categories, looking at freedom, family, if that's important to you, security, giving. Okay, so what are your goals in these 4 specific areas, right? Financial freedom, is a general term, and that's a wish. So you do want to attach some numbers behind that. What would make you feel like you had financial freedom, right? Would it be $10,000 a month consistently? Would it be $50,000 a month consistently? What is it for you? And what is it that you want to do with that money that's going to make you feel free? Okay, so you have to have these whys behind it. Now, here is the discipline that's going to connect your big goal to your daily reality, right? So we talk about that 150 PV baseline of a monthly goal, right? Now, this sounds small when we're thinking about these great big goals. It's just one small number every single month, but it's a habit that's going to keep you in motion. Okay, big goals are achieved through small, maybe boring, but consistent actions repeated on purpose. Okay, so if we look at that small goal of 150 PV, it's not just a goal. This is your proof to yourself month after month that you're still becoming the person who reaches it. You're still growing further and further and further. And as you bring in more and more people who are all having that same baseline, at least, you're going to see yourself move closer and closer to that big C-type goal. Now, one more quick mindset shift that I want to discuss before we close this session is it's simple, but it really changes everything. Okay, so life and this business is all about giving even more than getting, right? So the business and the people that are going to grow the fastest are the ones who focused first on what they can give, right? Giving value to others, giving honesty, authenticity, giving real help to another person, which is exactly what we can do with this. By offering somebody this opportunity, we are throwing them a lifeline, the best lifeline that they could imagine. Right? So in all of this, if our focus is always on giving and how we can help somebody else, trust that get is going to flow right back to you. Okay, it's always going to follow. So the ones that struggle in the business are usually stuck asking, what's in it for me? Before they've given anyone a reason to say yes. Okay, so this matters not just for goal setting specifically, but it helps reframe your goals from just a purely personal to having genuine purpose, right? So you may have an income goal, but you might attach to that number of people whose lives that you've changed because you opened their eyes to this opportunity, right? So finding a way where you're getting genuine purpose in what we're doing here, right? So this isn't just about building income for yourself alone, but you're building the capacity to give more, right? You're building the capacity to give more to your family, to be more present, to help your immediate family, your extended family, your community, the world. I mean, honestly, it doesn't have to stop. So, and then all of the people that you're going to eventually lead as well. So let's bring this all together. This is such an important place to make sure you get in line with before you really start diving in and trying to make the big changes for the business. So your results are going to follow your thinking. Your thinking has to change before your business will. Your goals are going to give that change a direction, right? So that we know where we're going. It's going to give it it's going to give and gives a purpose for that is bigger than yourself. Sorry, I made a tongue twister there. And here's what I want you to do before you move on to any further training. So I want you to write down and start thinking about at least one old thought that you had that you are ready to release that is not serving you anymore. And then replace that with a new thought. Okay, find a new thought that is going to serve you for your goals, and then write down those goals. Look at some of the categories that we talked about when you're talking about, debt, financial security, stability, being able to give the home that you want, traveling freely, your family, all of those things. So really dive in and have something that's going to be very meaningful to you. And now keep these lists somewhere where you are actually going to see it all of the time, and make sure you do this within the next day or two before you move forward with anything else. Okay, this is an internal foundation that you're building. It's highly important, and you're not going to stop here. This is just the beginning. Okay, it's a constant, beautiful pattern of growth that you're now developing, but you have to have a great foundation that then we can start to grow on as you continue to grow your business. Okay, so everything else you learn in this business is going to be built on top of this new foundation. So I hope this helped you, got you excited and motivated, and just gave you some great things to help you shift your mindset, how to build good, significant goals. And now it's just time to move on forward. So I'm so excited for you and for the next stage.